Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel QA Junction. In this video, you will learn building CSS locators without depending on third-party extensions. You will learn creating and validating the CSS locators directly in DOM, Document Object Model. The reason I have recorded this video is recent automation tools like Playwright and Cypress suggesting us to use CSS locators in our automation script. And in this video, I am going to explain different ways of creating CSS locators. Before moving forward, let me explain you what is DOM. DOM stands for Document Object Model, where you can see the full HTML code of web page. You can open the DOM on web page by right clicking and selecting Inspect. Let me show you. Let's say this is our web page and you need to just right click, and from this pop-up you need to select Inspect. And you can see the HTML code here, right? So this is Document Object Model. Let's start building CSS locators in Document Object Model. We can build CSS locators in different ways. So let me explain you one by one. In your Document Object Model, if there is an ID attribute, then you can write tag name hash value of the ID attribute. Let me show you. I want the CSS locator for this full name input field. Just right click on that input field and click on Inspect. You can see the HTML property related to that input field. As you can see, we have ID here, so we can write a shortcut CSS. Just press Ctrl F in keyboard, which will open Find by String Selector or XPath field. Here in this field, you can write your CSS locators and validate it. I want to write the CSS locator for this input field, and I also have ID attribute here. Syntax here is tag name. Tag name is input. So I am writing input and hash ID attribute value is full name. You can see when you hit enter, it is exactly highlighting the full name input field. And same thing you can see here, it is showing 1 of 1. That means we have wrote the correct CSS locator. This is one way. If you have a ID attribute, you can directly write tag name hash the value of ID attribute. So we have discussed writing the CSS locator for ID attribute, right? So syntax is tag name hash value of ID attribute. Let's discuss writing the CSS locator for class attribute. Syntax here is you need to write tag name dot value of the class attribute. Let's say I want to write the CSS locator for this submit button. Just right click and inspect. You can see there is a class attribute here, so I can use that syntax, right? This is the HTML property for the submit button. So tag name is input and dot we need to write the class value. Tag name is input dot write the class value. So here you need to fill up the spaces with dot. As you can see, we have a space in this class value, so I removed the space and filled it with the dot. When you hit enter, it is exactly highlighting that submit button, and it is also showing 1 of 1. That means we have wrote correct CSS for submit button. These are two ways of writing the CSS locator for ID attribute and class attribute. Let me show you the common syntax for writing CSS locator, which is tag name attribute equal to value. This time let's take the example of amazon.in. Right click on search input field and inspect. This is the HTML property which is highlighting that search input field. Ctrl F to open the input field for writing down the CSS locators. So tag name is input. Open the braces and attribute is ID. You can take any attribute. Equal to value should be enclosed in single quotes. So this is the common syntax for writing the CSS locator. It has input, which is tag name, and ID, and value should be enclosed in single quotes, which I wrote. Let's discuss traversing in CSS. So we can traverse from parent tag to child tag. So what is parent and child tag? Let me show you. So here we have 3 buttons, right? So I want the CSS locator for this double click me button. Right click and inspect. As you can see, these are all the buttons which is child tag and it is falling under the parent tag called div. As you can see, this arrow mark which is showing down, this is the parent tag and these are all the child tags for that parent. And for this div tag is the parent tag. Likewise, it will differ. So you can also write the CSS by traversing. Let me show you. So here we have class name, right? I am writing the common syntax of CSS. Tag name is div, attribute is class, and value is this. Should be enclosed in single quotes. And now I want to go to these buttons. How can I do that? I want to directly jump from this div tag to button tag, and I want to jump on this last button. You just need to give space, that's it, and write the child tag name, which is button. As you can see, in button there are 3 because we do have 3 buttons here, right? But I want the exact CSS locator for this double click me button. For that, I will be writing this class name, which is unique here, right? You can see for first button it is primary, second is secondary, and third one is success. So we have class name here, so I will be copying that. And as you already know, if we have class name, then we can directly write dot class name. It will won't work if it have spaces, so we need to remove the space and fill it with dot. As you can see, this is our exact CSS for the double click me button, and it is exactly highlighting, also showing 1 of 1 here. This is the concept of traversing from parent to child tags. So we saw the first point, which is parent to child tags traversing. Now we will see how to traverse from parent to child and their siblings. For traversing from parent to child and their siblings, we have a syntax which is a common CSS locator syntax and space tag name east ent hyphen child, and you need to give the index. Let me show you the practical example. This is the web table and I want the access of all the last names. Just right click, inspect. As you can see, the parent is table tag and I want the access for all the last names. If you mouse over on this table has rows which is tr and td is nothing but the data inside the table. Let's write the CSS locator for this. Tag name is table, attribute is class, and give the value of class inside single quotes. So we need to traverse to child tag. How can we do that? Just give space, and I am now traversing to this t body. So write the tag name t body and give space. Now we want td, right? So just giving td. When you hit enter, it will highlight all the data, but I only want this last name, second column data. For that, I will be writing east nth hyphen child and giving the index as 2. You can see it is exactly highlighting the last names. If you give index 3, it will highlight the third column, and if you give index 5, it will highlight the 5th column. This is how we can write CSS locator by traversing from parent to child and their instant sibling. I hope you understood these concepts. Thank you.